prophesied to him about. How many know your life doesn't look like what God has said about you? How many of you know that your life don't look like what God's been prophesying to you about? Now, Joseph's life, as a matter of fact, it doesn't get anywhere near to him looking like what God said it would be like. As a matter of fact, it looked like his life was doing the opposite of what God was saying. Where God was saying, I'm going to take you up, and people are going to bow down to you and look up to you. Now Joseph's life seems to be going in reverse. Instead of going forward, he's going backwards. But yet he's still holding on to the prophecy. Come on, somebody. He's still holding on to something that God said in spite of how things look. He's still holding on what God has spoken to him and has showed him what he's going to do to him and what he's going to do through him and how people will view him. Amen. Even though he's not looking like and he's not feeling like what God is talking about him. But yet he has a prophecy. And no matter how far back he goes, and no matter how deep in the hole he is put, he holds on to the prophetic word that God had spoken to him through his dream. What I'm here to alert you and to encourage you to do today, for those that still have a dream, and though your dream and though the prophecy seems to be dim and it doesn't look like it'll ever come into the light, but I'm telling you today to just hold on. Just hold on to what God has said. I know your life don't look like it. I know your life don't feel like it. I know it doesn't seem like you're even moving in that direction, but just hold on to the prophecy. Because the longer you hold on to your prophecy, the longer you hold on to that word, the more valuable that word gets. How many of you know some things get more valuable in time? Some people bought a car back in 1950, amen, and still got that car today. Amen. It wasn't worth much when they bought it, but the longer they kept it, the more valuable it became. What I'm telling you today is that you're holding on to a gold mine. You're holding on to a word that God spoke to you maybe years ago. Amen. It hasn't come into view yet, but in time, God's going to increase it. It's going to become more valuable. And based upon these two prophetic words that were spoken to Abraham and also spoken into the life of Joseph, I want to utilize this title today, Passing the Test of Time. Passing the Test of Time. God came to test Abraham in chapter 12 before he had Isaac. But yet, he had already spoken a word to Abraham of what he wanted to do. But he didn't test him until after he had something that God saw that was of value to him. God will only test you with things that are of value to you. When he first prophesied to Abraham, Abraham had no child. He didn't have, a seed of his loin. He didn't have someone that was the apple of his eye. God waited until after he had Isaac, amen. And then he came and he told Abraham, as he came to tempt him, to test him, give me what you value. Give me what you see as the apple of your eye. He came to test him to see if he would give to him what he was asking of him before he would release what he had said concerning him. And so I want you to know that there's a test, and you got to come, amen, and you have to be able to pass that test in time. That when it comes time for you to test out of where you are, you got to pass the test. You cannot go to the next place in God, the next level in God, the next blessing that God has for you until you pass the test. Time will always bring with it a test. Sometimes God will test you without even giving you a warning for the test. Have you ever heard of those pop quizzes? And you just walk into class, you sit down to be taught, and the teacher says, okay, close your books. Amen. We're getting ready to have a pop quiz. An unexpected test. Many of us have gone through life and we have had unexpected tests. Things that came to test us, to challenge us, amen, to prove us and to qualify us. And many times we failed the test. But we have not failed all the tests. There are some tests that we have passed. That's why you are where you are today. It's because the tests that you passed yesterday. But what about where you're trying to get to for tomorrow? Before you can get to where you're trying to go tomorrow or try to get to this year, there's going to come a test in time. And you've got to be able to pass your test when that time comes. Are y'all still with me? See, God will use where you're going, amen, through. God will use what you're going through just to get you to where, amen, He's trying to take you. God will utilize the things that are happening to you in order to test you to see if you are qualified to go to the next level or the next place He's calling you. Are y'all with me? See, God will call you to a place, but before He allows you to get to the place, He's going to test you on your way there. Israel coming out of Egypt, before they can get to the place of promise, had to be tested while they were going through. See, God gives us tests right when we start going through something. Why can't He give me a test when everything's going right? Why can't He give me a test when my mind ain't cluttered and my mind and my heart's not fluttered? Why can't He give me a test when I got money in my pocket? Why can't He give me a test when everything seems to be going well and swell? But God will wait until you find yourself in the mix of a mess, and now He wants to give you come on, God, a test after you see me what I'm going through. My mind ain't right, my heart ain't right, and now you want to give me a test? There's a test coming. But what I want you to also know that it's only a test. That's all. Look at somebody say, it's only a test. It's only a test. That's all it is. It's just a test. And so God will use what you're going through to get you to where, amen, He's calling you to, because it's not about what you're going through, but where He's trying to bring you. A lot of times we're so busy bogged down because of what we're going through, but we can't see what God is trying to do or where God is trying to bring us to through what we're going through. Israel had to go through a wilderness. They had to go through numerous battles before they can get to the prophetic place of the promise. Are y'all still with me? So today I want to talk to the people that are going through a test. I want to talk to the people that are trying to make it, amen, to that next place, that are trying to make it through the test that God is giving them. I want to talk to some people that are being challenged, some people that got some heartache today, some people that are dealing with some pains today. Am I talking to anybody in here today that feel like I'm going through? Seems like I'm going from one test to another test, from that test to another test, from this thing to that thing, from this challenge to that challenge. God, when are you going to stop testing me? He said, I'll stop testing you when you start passing the test. Come on, somebody. Why they keep treating me like that? Why they keep talking to me like that? Can't you see that it's only a... See, you blaming them for what they doing to you, but God said, I'm using them to be your... I'm allowing them to talk about you, treat you the way they're treating you, because I'm taking you through a... And I want to see if you can pass the test with humility. Or are you going to argue with the test that I'm bringing you to? Are you going to fight back with the test that I'm trying to give you? Come on, look at somebody next to you and say, you ain't nothing but a test. That's all they are. They're just a test. Every enemy that came against Israel was nothing but a test. Every hater that ever came against Joseph was nothing but a test. His brothers hating him, envying him, but yet it was nothing but a test. And all Joseph had to do was to pass the test that time brought to him. Are y'all still with me? So here we see that God is a God that takes his people through numerous testing before he will release to them the things that he has blessed them, that he wants to bless them with. God will always take you through a testing before he releases your blessing. Are y'all with me? And the thing that I've learned about tests is that tests come in numerous forms. There are written tests, there are verbal tests, there are physical tests. There's emotional tests. Come on, somebody. There are mental tests. Tests that come to prove you in order to validate that you are who you keep telling people you are. Every test is coming to prove you, to test you, to validate you that you are who you keep saying. You keep running around telling people, I'm a child of God. And God says, okay, let me put you to the test. Let me see if you're mine or not. And he determines who you are to him based upon the tests that you're able to pass from him. Are y'all still with me? And what I want you to know is that God wasn't taking Abraham through a test because he was wanting something from him or needing something from him, but he was testing him to see how obedient he was to him before he could trust him with, amen, with the blessing that he had for him. He had to see that he could trust him with what he was about to do through him. So God had to test him.
All right, okay.
He had to test him. Because if he could test his way out of what he was in, then God can trust him with what he wants to give him.
Okay.
See, the test determines if God can trust you with what he said to you.
Okay.
Can God trust you with what he has said about you?
Okay.
Can he trust you with what he wants to bless you with? And the only thing that determines his trust is his test.
Amen.
You got to test your way out from where you are, and you got to test your way in to where he's calling you to be. But it's only a test. Now watch this, because he says to Abraham, he says, Abraham, I want to bless you. Now listen to the prophecy. The prophecy is, Abraham, if you come out from your father's house, from your country, your father's house, and from around your kinfolk into a place that I will call you to, he says, I will bless you. Abraham, now watch this. Now see what God is saying is, I'm promising you something. He's saying, I will. If God ever said to you, I will, it's a promise. His prophecy now is turning into a promise. Because see, if God just prophesies to you, his prophecy is conditional. But when God says, I will, his prophecy now says it comes with a promise. And he says to Abraham, Abraham, I want to bless you. I want to make your name great. I want to make you a great nation. I will make you to be a blessing. And I will bless those that will bless you. And I will curse them that will curse you. And then he says, and I promise that in thee shall all nation families of the earth be blessed. His prophecy now turns into a promise. Two very different things. A prophecy is something that God says to you, but a promise is something that God must give to you. Because God is not a liar.